All right. I should be live on YouTube now. We should be live on YouTube. Let me know that you're here. You can drop your name in the chat. Let me know if you are present today, and I will say hello to you. And that way I will absolutely know 100% that everything is working correctly. All right, so I'm just going to pull up the live chat here. Wonderful. All right, so as I just mentioned, we're going to be talking about how the top performing communities, which we define in our work as the ones that are, oh, hi, hi, Prati. Okay, we're working. Everything's working. Oh my goodness. Yay to the tech gods. Amazing. So yeah, we'll be talking about the things that these top performing communities do to thrive in today's environment. So I'm really, really excited to jump into this topic today. And I know that it can be, hey, Jamar, I know that it can be really tempting to want to understand what other people are doing. How are their communities doing? And how does mine compare? And I think it's fine to want to kind of have a benchmark and to want to compare our work to others, but we have to be really careful about it. Because if we're not careful about it, what ends up happening is we compare ourselves to these giant communities, these ones that seem to be really active, and we lose sight of our own strategy, our own purpose, our own reason for building community. So if you were here last week, you'll remember me talking about the idea that when we help our clients build communities, it's really all about finding joy and building relationships at every single stage. When you have one member of your community, when you have 10 members, when you have 100, when you have 1,000, it doesn't matter. It's all about that joy, intention, and relationships. So you should be getting something out of it at every single stage of the process. So I just want to caveat all of this with that if you don't consider yourself to be a top performing community, then think about how much joy you're getting out of the community, how many deep relationships you're building, and the depth of those relationships, because there are communities out there with millions of people in them that treat the people within them as basically just like free content labor. And that's probably not what you're doing if you're watching this video. So that's what we're going to share today are the 5 top tips to help you build that kind of thriving community, the one that really feels good to you as a business owner. So, hey, everybody, I'm Carrie. If you don't know me already, I'm Carrie Melissa Jones. I am a consultant and researcher and strategist, and I help leaders from all over the world create incredible online communities that can scale and grow with their businesses or with their movements. And so I've worked at all levels of business as well as nonprofits, for foundations. And I love this work so much. I love connecting people and gathering the people that are important to us. So with that, I want to help you. I want to help you gather the people that are important to you. So that's what we're going to be getting into today. And I just wanted to share very quickly here that we have a workshop that is now available that we completely redid, and it's going to be covering a deeper dive into everything I'm talking about today. So I'm just going to be sharing these 5 top tips with you, but the workshop goes in depth on this 6-piece framework for all of the pieces that you need to feel like your community is really successful. So I'm going to be sharing the link to that. It's actually in the video description here, and it will be shared in the comments and the video description after this live is over. But I highly recommend checking that out if this topic interests you and you really want to dive even deeper into it. So let's get into the tips. And I actually have, hey, Cornelia, I actually have slides today. I'm like so prepared. I have real slides. I'm not going to share them the entire time, but I was inspired by Jamar Diggs. He did a live and he had really great visuals alongside it. So I was like, yeah, I can throw together a slide or two. All right. So, and of course I have to remember how to do this. Okay. So we're going to be talking about, okay, hopefully this is working for you. I'm just going to hide this, make sure this is all working for you. If you cannot see it, yes. Okay. You should be seeing it. I'm seeing it on my screen. All right. So the first tip that I want to talk about is this concept of needing to work beyond just building the community itself. It's not as simple. Hey, Kyle, it's not as simple as just saying, okay, I'm going to build this community and people are going to show up for it. And actually, it's great to see you, Cornelia. You're in public media. I was in Mendocino County, which is north of San Francisco this weekend, and I was listening to lots of different public radio stations and NPR stations, and I noticed like all of them were doing membership drives right now, and they were all about like one radio station was just talking about like, here's the different swag you can get and all of that. It's not just like build it and then we talk about all the concrete benefits, tangible benefits you're going to get out of being a member. It is deeper than that. And it's important that we continue to build on what we have already built and continue to evolve what we have already created at all times. And it can be really exhausting to do that. Yes, I love public media. So good to see you here. So you have to keep promoting. You have to always be writing, sharing, promoting, highlighting. What is it like to be a member of this community? What is it like to be a member where when people come together, maybe in person or come together on calls? Actually, today we were just on a co-working call in the CMJ community, and I was like, I definitely should be taking a selfie of this moment, but I was actually getting ready for this YouTube live while on the co-working call. And I was like, yes, I should be capturing this and sharing it more widely. It is something that's really hard to do. I want to name that. At launch, it typically looks like sending out a ton of emails. So when you're first launching a community, it looks like just sending out tons and tons and tons of messaging around like, join this community, here are all the benefits of it. And this, what you're seeing here, these are images of just some of, not all of, the emails that we used for our community launch. And then over time, it looks like sharing more on social media. It looks like sharing through your email list. It looks like talking through your different media channels about the benefits of being a member. And that really just, that work never ends, truly. So I'm going to go back to my face here on the slide. Should be able to see me again. Let me make sure that you can actually see me. Should be good. Should be good. Just making sure. All right, friends. All right. So that should have gone away. And there it goes. Yay. Okay, we did it. So one person, and I already have shouted at this person out, but Jamar Diggs, who actually I'm going to be doing a live conversation with in just a few weeks. If you have not yet signed up for that YouTube live, I highly recommend it because Jamar does incredible work, not only building his Low Lift Club YouTube community for business owners and creators, but he also shares about the process and shares about what people are achieving. He shares every time a new member joins the community. It's really, really, really inspiring. So shout out to you, Jamar. You do an amazing job with that. You know, I'm always talking about how fantastic it is to see that. And what's really, really important here is that we create shared experiences for our members. So this is often missing in communities. It's something that it's a pain point that we are constantly trying to solve for our clients and for ourselves at the CMJ group, is that one component of the felt sense of belonging, or this felt sense of community. They're two different things, sense of belonging, sense of community, is having multiple shared experiences with people. So that means doing live challenges together, showing up to live calls, doing something that has a finite beginning and an end, and having those experiences be really well crafted and strategized so that people are going through this experience together. That is an essential component to creating this sense of community. Really, really important. So that is the first thing I want to talk about, is that you can't just build it and they're going to come. You've got to build it, and then you've got to talk about it, create, talk about it some more. Okay. The second thing I want to talk about today is the importance of just giving this time. It takes a lot of time. And I see a lot of people build communities, and you know, they're fantastic on day 1. They're fantastic on day 14, but then all of a sudden, let's go back here. Then all of a sudden, month 3 comes around, things are getting quiet, things are hitting a lull, you start doubting everything that you're creating and doing, and it's like, should I keep going? The answer is yes, you should absolutely keep going. You need to give it about 18 months for things to really hit their stride. That's a year and a half. Now that can be really, really scary, and a scary amount of time for a small business. A lot of times we don't have that kind of runway, especially if we're bootstrapped. But it's essential that we give it time, because communities are built in human time. They're not built in artificial intelligence time. They're not built in technology or internet time. They're built in human time. It takes time to build relationships. And so we have to create the space for ourselves and let ourselves and our organizations know that this is going to take about a year and a half to really feel successful. Now, for those entrepreneurs and creators who get started and continue for many months and many years down the line, it's because they have given it time. They've given it time to process. They've given it time to figure out what's working, what's not. And then once they figure out what's working and what's not, it changes and they learn that again. I was just listening to a really good interview on, I'm blanking on the name of the podcast, but it's emceed by Brie Lever. And it was with founder Ali Ball. She runs like a food entrepreneurs community. And she was talking about how she's been doing this for 10 years and how much has changed in that time. And it's just so, so very important. A huge caveat to this is that it's not just like launch the community, don't talk about it, don't do anything exciting in it, and then just be like, okay, 18 months, we're good. It's everything's going to magically come together. It's 18 months of that work of talking about it, experimenting, building those relationships, and really spending that time investing in it. So it's important that we're not just creating it and then letting it go for 18 months. And I've seen this many, many times in my work. We actually worked with a client last year. It was about a year ago. We were in Atlanta with them. And they had had a community for about 10 years that had been kind of a little bit self-managing, but because it was self-managing, it was growing and the experience wasn't consistent. People were getting really frustrated. They were getting really burnt out. But once we got really consistent with the programming for that community, we spent 9 months with them, running through workshops with them. We did 2 in-person gatherings with them. Their members reported that they felt 100% more connected to the organization, and they increased their sense of confidence in their work by over 30% in that 9-month time period. So it's just about compounding. It's just like investing, where you make these small investments over time, you stay consistent with it, and over time that builds up, those relationships build up, the power of what you're building starts to really increase. So I'm curious, and some of you have already told me this, and that's amazing. I'd love to just stop and check the chat here for just a second. And I'm going to do that and turn off my screen share for just a second. I'm curious, how far along are you in your communities today? How long have you been running your community? Or maybe it's a client community or a previous community that you ran. How long have you been running it? And what have you noticed in that time period? Have there been really key inflection points? I would just love to hear your reflections on that. I shared about this a little bit before, but what I see a lot of times is this first few weeks of a lot of excitement, and then usually a lull around month 3 to 4 to 5. And then what's important in that period is to evaluate and say, okay, what did work over the previous months? And then what can we continue to do? And then what are things we can do to inject energy and enthusiasm and excitement into this? So we're right in the middle of doing that for the CMJ community, which relaunched in May of this year. Yes. And Kyle, you said, I'm at month 5, being patient over here. Yes. Be patient, keep experimenting, keep having fun with it, keep creating those shared experiences with your members. And Jamar, you're about 10 months in and it feels like I'm building and improving. Yeah. I mean, just imagine 8 months from now. I don't even know what month that's going to be. Don't make me do the math on that right now. But the culture of the community will be more solidified. You already have some of these fantastic members who are here right now. Thank you for being here, Prathi and Sarah, who was just in my previous the co-working call that we were on. I met some incredible people there, and it's because we've had the time and we've had the shared experiences to continue to move through this process and actually create those relationships. Oh, really interesting. So Kyle Byron, he is he's a coach, coaches about nutrition and body health and wellness. And he said that most behavior change programs stall around 3 to 4 months. So that's really interesting. At the individual behavior change level, we usually have some kind of a stalling or plateauing around 3 to 4 months. And it's similar at the group level too. So we've got to do something to keep it going. I would love to talk to you about that, Kyle. Like, what are your strategies for continuing to inject that enthusiasm and excitement, and reminders that change really does take time? Yes. And then Jamar said, when I started doing more group activities, things started to build up and people started chatting with each other, not just me. Yeah. And that's a key inflection point too, is noticing like, I don't have to create all the content here. Actually, people have lots and lots of questions and I might not have the best answers. I have an answer, and then I can step back and I can let my members shine. I can let them answer each other's questions. I'm convening this group, but I'm not the only one who can tell people what to do and how to do it. Yeah. Prati says 15 months. I was going back and forth on promoting it or not because I wasn't sure what was right for me, but now I'm all in. Yay! So I would say I'm restarting and I am in month 3. Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you kind of were in and out on something for 15 months, it's hard to say like that you had the full 18-month investment. So I think that's exactly right. Like think about it as I'm in month 3 now. I've got a road ahead of me and I'm going to be all in on this. Yeah, and as Kyle mentioned, Seth Godin writes about this in the book, The Dip. It's a really tiny little book. It's a good one. And I promise I'm doing more events. Good, Kyle. What I will encourage you with that, and anybody who's thinking about doing more events in their community, is that sometimes no one will show up. Sometimes one person will show up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you held the space for it and that you're going to continue to build that over time and that you learn from that experience. So if nobody showed up, okay, did we share it enough times? Did I personally invite people to come? If I didn't, okay, those are things I can try next time. Maybe the timing of it didn't work out. So you can, again, just be experimenting and growing and learning alongside your community. Yes, really, really cool stuff. Okay, very excited for all of you and your communities, and those of you who are going all in on your community efforts. That's super cool. All right, let's talk about the third tip next. Let me go back to my handy dandy slides. So the third tip is about designing with radical simplicity. So this is a principle that we teach our community members in the CMJ community. It's something I teach all of my clients, is the importance of being so very simple with everything you create. Do not confuse people. Be clear, not clever. Clear, not clever, okay? Because we all have a lot of things going on in our lives, and communities can feel really overwhelming to people when they first join. So keep it as simple as you possibly can. The challenge that I give a lot of our clients is to have, for instance, when you're thinking about the architecture of your community, have no more than 3 spaces in that community. And those spaces are a welcome space. They are a space for general discussion, which you can segment later. And they are a space for topic-based chat or course-based chat or anything that's specific to your specific context or your niche. And then have nothing more than that. That's my challenge to all of you. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And alongside that, alongside the architecture itself, also having really simple guidelines. So having no more than 8 to 10 rules in your community max, keeping them short, keeping them succinct. Simple invitations to folks. Don't write these gigantic blocks of text emails to folks. Write really quick, short, succinct, concise invitations to people, because that's what communities, that's how they grow, is by having lots and lots and lots of invitations to connect. And so you don't want to overwhelm people with the amount and the length of the invitations that you're sending. And unfortunately, I've learned myself, I'm a big, like, I'll write just way too much. So I have to strip back everything I'm doing. This is where I find, I don't use ChatGPT, but I use Claude and some of the other AI large language models. And this is where I find it to be really helpful, because I'm like, okay, I wrote like way too much. Can you just make this short for me, please? But don't make me sound like an asshole. That'd be great. Okay, perfect. And then it usually does. And so that's where ChatGPT can help you get out of your own way. So yeah, that's just so very important, is just always be reminding yourself, how can I make this thing more simple than it already is? How can I make it more simple? Claude is Bay. Jamar says, I love Claude. They're like actually led by researchers and ethical scientists. So I love that for them. All right, fourth tip. And this is something that we've seen so many times in our research and in our client work, is that community builders who build alone tend to burn out. And so my recommendation for you, my tip from top performing communities for you, is do not build, as in like, don't run and manage your community alone. What that means for you is going to vary. So does that mean that you have co-leaders beside you, which I recommend you do over time? I talked about that in the last live on the exact strategies that we use to build communities from scratch. And that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to join a group of other community builders, like in the CMJ community, and talk to them and have a space where you can learn from other people who are doing similar work to you. That way you're not stuck in your own silo and your own overthinking process. It's really easy to overthink things in community building. And so we want to make sure that we are not building alone, because that's going to help us get out of our own way. And what works for you is not necessarily what's going to work for your community members. So it's important that we're in constant conversation with our community members and with other community builders, so we're learning from the best of the best, of course. And then the final tip is that welcomes are everything. They are everything in communities. Are they going to save your community like 5 years down the line when someone's been in your community for 5 years? No, but that first interaction is going to set the tone for everything else in the community. So I actually wanted to share a little bit of our kind of how we think about this. I just stopped sharing my screen here. How we think about this in our community. We're constantly auditing our onboarding. If you have not onboarded to your own community recently, like gone through the actual flow of like, what is it like when someone joins? Please do that. Please check what the experience is like. We have a whole onboarding template inside of the CMJ community. We have a whole resource library in there. And one of the things that we offer is a place for you to create this map of that audit experience and to show like, okay, this is the emotion I'm feeling as I'm clicking on this email, or like, I feel overwhelmed when I'm looking at this email, or I feel really warmly welcomed when this happens in the welcoming process. So go through your own onboarding process and do it on a regular basis. So you can make sure that none of your, if you have Zapier connections, like they're all working correctly and all that really important technical stuff. I have found all kinds of stuff that I did not know was going on by doing different audits because the APIs update a lot and you just don't know. So check this regularly, check your welcomes, and then also personalize your welcomes. So yes, it's great to have this like weekly welcome chat. And you'll see this in a lot of Facebook groups. It's because actually I think it was like 2016, 2015, our team at CMX was actually working with the Facebook groups team, and they were like, what are some of the features that we should build on the inside of the Facebook groups product? And I remember we were like, well, you need better like welcoming. And so they automated, like they basically made it really easy for Facebook group admins to then say like, okay, tag all the members who joined this week and then give them a hello. And now community admins on Facebook groups just like do that. And it's just like this soulless thing. That's the problem with, trying to make things more efficient, is that you lose like the essence of the thing that was so important. And so those personal welcomes are so key. So when someone joins our community, for instance, we have them fill out an onboarding questionnaire. I check out what their goals are, and I send them a personalized note that says like, hey, I'm so excited to have you here. Sometimes I'll always check out their community and just kind of dig into what some of their work entails and, point them to different resources and events that I think that they should join. And not only do I do that, but also we have a group of co-leaders who work alongside us that are constantly rotating. And we ping them when somebody new joins, and we have them write a personal welcome to them as well. So that makes a really big difference. So in our community, this welcoming process looks like a combination of emails, auto DMs that go out inside of our Circle platform, a personal welcome from me, a personal welcome from one of our co-leaders, and then we're actually just starting new member welcome calls. They'll be beginning in the next month inside of our community as we get more folks joining in a specific monthly cohort. So that's really important, because the point of welcomes as your community grows goes from just being like, okay, we're starting a thing together, to, okay, we're starting a thing together, or you're starting this journey with us. Some people have already been on this journey for a long time, and I want to welcome you onto this journey. And I also want the folks who are already on the journey with me to meet you as well, because we're going to fold you in. We're going to fold it in. I don't know if any of you all watch Schitt's Creek, but you just fold in the cheese, right? That's what you're doing with your members. I love Catherine O'Hara. She is my hero. So these are the 5 tips. These are the 5 tips that I wanted to share today. Build it and they will not come. So make sure you're talking a lot about your membership outside of the membership. Give it time, give it 18 months, and 18 months of a true try, not just 18 months of you being like, maybe I'm in, maybe I'm out. 18 months of, I'm really going to try this thing. I'm going to take my time with it. I'm going to invest in the relationships of with the members who are here with me. The 3rd tip, design with radical simplicity in everything you do. Ask, how can I make this simpler? Don't build alone. That is the 4th tip. So have co-leaders alongside you. And then welcomes are everything. So your onboarding and that welcoming process is crucial to future outcomes. So these are just 5 top level tips, and I hope it's given you a lot to think about for just today on what you can be doing and working on next. But if you want to dive even deeper into this and understand how these things all fit within a larger community building framework, that's where I really want to recommend that you sign up for our absolutely brand new, absolutely free workshop on how to create the thriving community of your dreams. And so that is going to be available. It's in the video description here. You can check that out. It's a free download. Yeah, unlike in past times when I've had it up, I've like put a timer on it and like you couldn't access it after 24 hours because I was like, I want to make sure people actually watch it. Yes, there's importance to urgency there, but I'm trying to think. You let me know what you think about it. But don't just get to the workshop page and then never actually watch it, okay? Because it's so, so, so important that you understand how your work fits into a larger framework. That's what actually keeps you motivated, and that structure can keep you moving in a specific direction versus just like aimless wandering and wondering, what am I doing here? What should I be focused on? So yes, check out that workshop. And that's it. That's it. There's a lot of tips, but I'm going to check if there's any other questions or anything. Kyle mentioned I need to look at my onboarding and message new members. Ironically, I would be doing this instinctually, but I think when in a new skill, you can lose your instincts. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot that comes up too, especially if you have a paid membership, even if it's free, but if it's paid, there's a lot of anxiety that comes up where you're like, oh my gosh, this person just joined. Like, I want to make sure they have the best experience possible. And it's going to bring up all this anxiety about like, am I actually delivering on things? So a lot of feelings get brought in too. And I know, Kyle, you're very familiar with how feelings impact actions. So that's okay. That's okay. And wherever you're at today, if you weren't doing these things today, that's all okay as well. You're learning and you're doing incredible work. So yes, and Jamar, we love having you in the CMJ community to bounce ideas and get feedback from everybody. And Prathy said, I recorded a nice onboarding video and I don't think I use it. Yes. Yeah. If you're not even sure if you use it, like go check it out. go check it out. Check out how people are coming across it. Yeah. And then at the end of the session, I'm about to cough. So 1 second. My daughter has gotten me sick again. At the end of the session, as promised, I'm going to be doing another giveaway for the CMJ community. We're going to be giving away a free month of membership. So how I did this last time is just make sure that you're following me on Instagram at Carrie Melissa Jones. And what I will do is I'm going to be doing a live drawing of who's going to win the membership. I'm going to write down the names of everybody that is here in the chat right now. And even if you are a member of the community, you'll still be in the running to join. I'll give you a code for a free month. Okay. Yes. and yet we keep going even when we're sick. Yes. I had a lot of Dayquil. We do what we have to do, you know, as parents, and as just humans in this world. Like we're all just dealing with a lot. Dayquil it's a godsend. All right. So I think I got everybody who was here, and then Nelly. All right, so make sure you're following me on Instagram, and I will do that drawing and then I will let the winner know, and then I'll also be posting it on my stories. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, friends, follow me on Instagram. Tell me what you learned from this video. I would love to stay in touch with all of you and continue to build communities alongside you. It's just really my honor to be able to serve folks who are building communities, connecting people beyond just the transactional. Your community is not about getting free labor from people, as so many other people treat it as such. So yes, all my respect to you. I'm honored by your presence here, honored by the work that you do, and I will talk to you next week. We'll be back next week, same time on YouTube. All right, thanks, friends.